So our next pose is going to be Uttanasana, or standing forward fold. Now, there's multiple ways you can do this, multiple different ways you can bring props into it. And we're going to start with just using a wall, because this is probably the first level that you can use, and then we'll slowly get further and further. So just experiment with all of them and then see which one suits you best. So standing forward fold. I have a wall here, but you're not going to really be able to see me when I'm using it. So I'm just going to pretend that I'm using the wall, right? So come with your feet hip width distance apart. And then bring your hands to your hips first of all. And find a nice long tall spine, crown reaching up. Bring a little bend into the knees. And then keeping a long spine, start to fold forwards from your hips. So just from the hip joints, the upper body is staying nice and long and straight. And then bring your hands to the wall in front of you. So just imagining there's a wall in front of me. So you're folded at the hips, there's a little bend in the knees, palms are resting against the wall, your elbows can be slightly bent if you need. But there's a gentle press into the wall, a gentle reaching back through the sit bones. The crown is reaching forward, so you're not looking at the wall, you're not craning through the neck. You're creating length through the spine still. Take a few breaths here. And then bring yourself slowly back up. Standing forward fold. Okay. The next way that we can do this is using a chair. So it really depends on, I guess, the flexibility of your hamstrings or the backs of your legs as to how far forwards you can fold. There's absolutely no, gold star for whoever can get the furthest forward in their fold. So come to stand in front of a chair. Mine is just a bar stool, but you can just be using a normal chair. Once again, feet hip width distance apart. Nice long tall posture, a little bend in the knees. You can bring your hands to your hips if you liked that. Otherwise, just starting your forward fold from the hips. And then your hands will come to the chair. It could even be resting on the back of a chair. And just come into your folds to wherever feels comfortable. So I'm just coming to roughly a tabletop spine here. My knees are slightly bent still, so I'm not putting too much strain on the backs of my legs. Long spine, crown is reaching forwards. My arms and hands are just resting on the chair here. A little support, a little press, so I do have that stability. Take a few breaths. And slowly start lifting yourself back up, using your core, your central stability, and then we come back up. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this. I don't need this anymore. The next way that we're coming into the forward fold is using blocks. So if you have yoga blocks, great. If not, that's totally fine. You can stick with the chair, you can stick with the wall. If that's as far as you're going, then that's totally fine. So I have 2 blocks, and I'm just going to place them hip width distance apart. So where my feet would roughly line up with, or like shoulder distance apart as well. Same. And one thing with this is now we start to get lower in our fold. If you have high blood pressure, just start to be really mindful of going down and coming back up. You might get a little dizzy. So just go really, really slowly. Bring your feet hip width distance apart. Have your blocks roughly like a torso length in front of you. So from my heels to the blocks, I reckon that's about a torso length. And then long spine, a little bend in the knees. And then I'm going to bring my hands to my hips and start my fold here. Folding from the hips, keeping that spine nice and long, drawing Belly button gently towards spine to create stability through my core. And then my hands are going to draw up and rest down to the blocks, which are on their highest setting. So now I'm in my forward fold. Long through spine, crown, reaching away from the hips. I'm pressing gently down into the blocks. I'm not like weighing myself down into them. I'm just using them as support. Shoulders are down away from the ears, and I'm letting my belly button and my low belly draw gently back towards my spine. So I'm still creating that stability. Lengthening through spine. And take a few breaths. Your knees can be as bent as they need to be. So if you're here in this fold and you're this bent in the knees, that's totally fine. Whatever works for your hamstrings. And then slowly, really grounded through the feet, standing all the way back. Take your time, go slow. And here we are, back to the top. Now I'm going to show you one more way to come into this forward fold with a bit more support. The blocks can stay there. We're not going to use them, but they can stay there for the ones that we'll do after. But coming back down into your forward fold, bring your forearms to your thighs. And so you can clasp your hands together if you like. Just resting your forearms on your thighs. My knees are a lot more bent now, so my chest can stay a little more lifted. I'm reaching my sit bones up and back slightly, so I'm not rounded through my back. If you're finding that you're rounding a lot through the back because the backs of your legs are super tight, bend more through the knees, or maybe you need to come up more to the chair or to a wall, right? Take a few breaths here, shoulders down away from ears so you're not hunching and scrunching. And then ever so slowly make your way back up. Really grounding, pressing down through the feet and the legs as you go. Okay, so there's 4 different ways you can come into a forward fold with support. And now we'll come into our forward folds, and you can come into it any way you like. Use your chair, the wall, the blocks, forearms to thighs if you need. Or you can come all the way down without support. See how you go. You might want to give it a try. Otherwise, staying at whatever level feels right for you. So slowly forward folding, that bend in the knees. And just letting the upper body hang over the thighs. If you're supported, you will keep a bit of stability and length and strength in the upper body still. Otherwise, if you're dangling here, knees are bent, sit bones reaching up, a little arch through the low spine. So if you notice, once again, if you notice you're rounding, bend the knees a little more, reach the sit bones up a little more. A little arch in the low spine, or maybe bring yourself up to another level. Hands can dangle to the floor. You can clasp your hands around opposite elbow. Let the head hang. Let the neck be soft and relaxed. And then slowly bring yourself back up. Take your time, let your body reacclimatize. So with your forward folds, if you're finding that your back starts to round a lot, this is probably because your hamstrings are a little extra tight, which is very normal, very common. So if you're finding that, the bend in the knees becomes really important, because what's really important is we're actually finding stretch through the backs of the legs rather than the low back. We're not actually looking for a stretching sensation in the back. It's actually in the legs. So if you're here and you're rounded and you're kind of hanging off the hips and your back is just folding forwards, you're getting a stretch through your back, but it's not a strong and healthy stretch. It's actually just everything hanging off of the hinge, and the bones and the ligaments and the tendons, they're all just kind of hanging off of each other. And we don't necessarily want to be stretching ligaments, because that's not really a stretchy thing, or that's not really a tissue that you want to be stretchy, just as an FYI. Okay, so now we're going to explore Ardha Uttanasana. So Uttanasana is our standing forward fold, what we just did. Ardha Uttanasana is a halfway standing forward fold, or a half forward fold. A lot of people often call it halfway lift. I call it halfway lift. And essentially what it looks like is this, a halfway lift. So choose your version of Uttanasana, your version of the standing forward fold. Come down, come into your forward fold, whatever level you're at, and then slowly come to that halfway lift position. So if you're in the full forward fold with the hands to the floor, the arms dangling, the elbows clasped, bring your hands to your shins or your thighs as a little support, and then find a tabletop spine. So my crown is reaching forwards, my sit bones are reaching back. I've still got that slight bend in the knees. I'm grounded through the legs, active through the legs, stable through the upper body. My elbows are hugging in slightly so they're not winging out to the side. My shoulders are down away from the ears, belly button drawing in. Take a few breaths. And then come back to forward fold. On your next inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins or thighs. And then exhale to forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, belly draws towards spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. This time, if you can, stay a little more folded and come to halfway lift, but just by gazing forward. So you're lifting your gaze forwards, your chest shines forwards. And so you're no longer in such a tabletop position. And then fold back down. Okay, let's slowly stand all the way back up, really slowly. Take your time. And that was Ardha Uttanasana. So from here, we can start to put all of these poses together. Uttanasana, Ardha Uttanasana, and then also the Urdhva Hastasana, the arms reaching up overhead. These three poses are often at the beginning of yoga sequences, and it can be a really nice sort of short or mini movement practice to bring these together at the beginning of your day, or whenever you need a movement break or a breath reset, because we can start to bring them together with our breath as well, inhaling up, exhaling down. So now what we're going to do is bring it all together, practice with all of the poses with our breath, starting to introduce the breath into the movement. So this is what we call a half sun salutation. We'll start learning slowly the full sun salutations later. So just for now, the half sun salutation, or Ardha Surya Namaskara. So feet hip width distance apart. We'll start there. Toes pointing forwards, feet parallel. You can have your blocks in front of you if you like, your chair, your wall, whatever you need. long through spine, and we'll just take a few breaths here. Just settling in, drawing your focus a little further inwards. And when you're ready, spinning the palms outwards, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, sweep the arms up. As you exhale, palms flip out and you fold down Uttanasana, pressing the arms down as the hands sweep down, folding from the hips. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, use your blocks or hands to shins or chair, whatever it is. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, standing all the way back up, arms sweep back up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, flip the palms out, fold back down, Uttanasana. Standing forward fold. Knees are bent. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale all the way back up, arms reach up, Ardha Uttanasana. This time palms come to touch, palms come together, and then draw the palms down through your center. Prayer hands to your chest, thumbs rest against the sternum. And take a breath here. And then release the arms. We'll do that 2 more times, but now with the toes together, heels slightly apart. So just like we've been exploring before in other videos. So toes to touch, heels about 1 inch or 1 centimeter apart so the ankles aren't knocking together. Long spine. When you're ready, inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Remember that activation through the arms all the way down to the underarms and the scapula, the shoulder blades. Exhale, forward fold. Uttanasana, bend in the knees. Ardha Uttanasana. Uttanasana. Ardha Uttanasana, standing, rising, arms sweeping up. Uttanasana, folding back down. Grounded through the feet. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthening the spine. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, rising up. Hands reach up. This time palms come together. And then draw the palms down through your center, resting against your sternum again. Maybe closing the eyes or holding a steady gaze. Give the shoulders a bit of a roll, maybe the hips a bit of a wiggle. And take a few breaths. Long through the spine, but gentle in the belly so that you can still breathe. Shoulders soft, jaw is soft. And let the hands soften back down by your sides. Tadasana, mountain pose. And the eyes can gently open if they weren't already. And that was our first little mini practice. You may have noticed that your balance wobbled a little more with the toes together and all the movement of the arms and the upper body. Totally normal. As time goes on, as you practice more, your balance will come. That is a strength building practice in and of its own.